Welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and The Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guys Nate Weitzer and Mo Nawara on the baseball beat. We are rolling along here in this early part of the MLB season. Just as a reminder, we are bringing you mostly night games here so we can make sure we get some time and get the correct spreads out to you guys as we get these videos out to you each and every weekday. So make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page so you can continue checking us out as we roll along this regular season with you guys. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or a DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, it's a heavy day slate here. We've seen a lot of day games here in the early month of the season. 8 of the 12 games, I believe, on Wednesday are pitching before 6:40, so we're only going to concentrate on those 4 after that, but I will read you the lines here. The Nats are plus 175 at the Bravos, who just put up, I think, 15-plus runs here on Tuesday night.
Mo smiling.
Cubs continue to surprise. They're minus 130 with Kyle Hendricks going at Pittsburgh. Cleveland is plus 115 at Cincy. Max Scherzer and the Mets in a toss-up at Aaron Nola and the Phillies. That's a great pitching matchup to watch there. Eduardo Rodriguez, now with the Tigers, hosts his former team in the Red Sox. You're getting different odds at different places there, but pretty much a toss-up. We'll see how his teammates hit. Fast Eddie, as they call him. Adam Wainwright and Zach Greinke in a battle of geriatric Hall of Fame bound guys. Minus 154 are the Cardinals at home. The Astros minus 154 in Arizona. Padres plus 115 at San Francisco. A's plus 150 in Tampa as we get into the night games there. And then Blue Jays plus 130, maybe 140, depending where you can get it, at the Yankees. It's Jose Barrios versus Garrett Cole. The Brewers, with Corbin Burns making his second start, are minus 180 at Baltimore, pitching their best guy in John Means. And then the reigning AL Cy Young winner, Robbie Ray, and the Mariners are minus 115 at the White Sox, who are pitching Dallas Keuchel. So those are the 2 games for me that I want to look at in terms of Yankees, Blue Jays, and Mariners, White Sox. Not a lot to choose from at night here, but I think with the Yankees, or more specifically with Garrett Cole, I want to get ahead of his lights out performance. Both these guys were just disastrous in the opener. I think that with Cole, it is more mental things and more just kind of the way his last season ended after having COVID, after being under scrutiny for the sunscreen and grip doctoring the baseball, whatever you want to call it. I think he's due to get back to his dominant ways. I mean, he struggled a bit against the Red Sox because of the weird routine, I guess, but that's the Red Sox. I mean, Barrios, I don't know what your excuse is. He said he just didn't execute his pitches. 4 earned runs, only got 1 out against the Rangers. He's definitely not on the same level as Cole. And the key stat for me is that he struggles with control, especially on the road, walking 2.5 guys per 9 innings. And the Yankees led the league in walk rate. And that was where their bread and butter was. They did not hit for average last year. They got guys on base with walks and then waited for that dong. I think they'll get a couple timely homers here. I think Cole, who still put up, great fielding independent pitching numbers in the second half, even though his ERA started to go up. I think with the Yankees playing a little bit better defense behind him at this point, he comes out and gives them a quality start that I think gets the win. I mean, you're still not getting much value at minus 140 for an ace, but I just think the Yankees and Cole are due.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you that we're going to see some better pitching performances here. Cole, like you said, he struggled a little bit, just not really missing the bats that he normally does in that first game. Barrios, or I think it is Barrios, like you said, he just, man, a lot worse, to be honest. It's interesting, though. He has kind of been prone to these really, really bad disaster outings. since he got to Toronto. He had several of them when he first got there, I believe, and then he kind of rebounded uh, end of the season. I think he definitely can do that here. I am a little bit interested in the under just as a buy low on both of these pitchers type of deal. If anything, Barrios did have a nice velocity. He was throwing 95, which is that would be his best of his career, to be honest. So some reason for optimism for sure. And he does have kind of a big hand in his split. Quite a bit worse, about 35 points of WOBA versus lefties. But the Yankees luckily don't have too many scary lefties. It's pretty much just Rizzo and Gallo, and they're solid, but not anyone that's should really terrify you. So I think I'm kind of with you that I expect better run prevention from these teams here. The line is kind of a middling total, so wouldn't mind a play on the under there.
Yeah, I would also just throw in there's slightly conflicting factors working against Barrios in terms of his last roughly, I believe, 3 outings at Yankee Stadium. I'm talking about giving up a ton of runs and not lasting very long. In especially, I believe, his last 2 starts specifically. Yeah, he's looking at a 6.43 ERA. He allowed about 8 walks. He was definitely struggling with the control. So I think the velocity, to your point, Mo, is not the issue necessarily. So if he's struggling with command against this Yankees team, I think you continue to see walks and then load him up for him for those guys. He is also good though against righties. He is better against lefties, to your point as well, Mo, which would tend to lean to that. I would agree with you. I mean, maybe it's just a couple of days of control in New York that sort of caused the issues for him there, and it might be a little bit closer to regressing a little bit back more to his mean, as he did end with a nice win until he was 12-9, still had about a 3.5 ERA, so pulled back from what he was doing in those Yankees games that he struggled on the road. But let's move on to another game here. Nate, you mentioned Mariners and White Sox at the top. What are you looking at there?
Well, I mean, just Robbie Ray being a hell of a lot better than Dallas Keuchel and it being a toss up. I mean, the White Sox offense is a lot better than that of the Mariners. But if Ray's going to be able to go 7 innings like he did in his debut, I give the edge to the Mariners and I give the edge to the under as well. On a night where there's not a lot of value, I think you can kind of game theory it a little bit to say, look, if the Mariners win this game, it's because they get a great pitching performance from Ray, who dominated the White Sox in 2 starts. You can say that the White Sox are great against lefties, sure, but they also had the 8th highest K rate against lefties, and Ray went out, struck out 17, allowed 2 runs, had 1 walk in 2 just lights out performances against them last year when he was with the Blue Jays. So I mean, if he can do that again, I know his velocity was not where you'd like to see it in the opener. Maybe he's still stretching out a little bit. I mean, he still was able to limit a pretty good Twins lineup to 1 run. I think we could be looking at a low scoring win for the Mariners. And if you parlay that with the under, then you're working with some good game theory where you get plus 250, plus 300, even plus 450 if you want to take minus 1.5 on that run line. There is some history there for the White Sox not winning when they're not expected to. Last year, they went 11-23 straight up as underdogs. And this is one of the rare spots where they're not expected to, with Keuchel on the mound, who, his ERA was not even as bad as the peripherals would suggest last year. He had a career low 13% K rate, 40% hard hit rate. Every single pitch he throws rated negative, in that his cutter and change no longer being a huge weapon there. Those are now getting hit hard as well. I mean, but the Mariners are only hitting 177 as a team so far. They're drawing some walks, but I don't expect a lot of offense if the White Sox can't get to Ray here. So if you want to just go ahead and bet the under, I'm with that too. I just like the idea of combining the 2 results.
Yeah, like you said, not a ton of value. So really got to parse through these and see if we can find anything. I'll be honest, I haven't locked anything in yet for tomorrow. I am definitely monitoring Robbie Ray's velocity. He's kind of been a guy where the velocity really is what drives his success. Pretty poor, mediocre to bad, I guess you could say, in his career when he's throwing like 93, 90, 92. But when he's at 94 or better, he's been just much better. I mean, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but 1 mile per hour can really make that big of a difference. And yeah, if he doesn't have his best stuff against kind of a lefty killing lineup here, I do think he's in some danger. But it's like you said, when it's so early, velocity trends up over the course of the season. So you're more excited to see good velocity early in the season than you are disappointed in low velocity or concerned about low velocity, because that could just be part of the pitcher ramping up. So just something to monitor. And yeah, I thought this was a pretty fair line, just because, like you said, Keuchel quite a bit worse for sure. Even mediocre 93 throwing Robbie Ray is better than Keuchel, but they do have the advantage on offense. So probably a pretty tight game here.
Yeah, and that's definitely what the line, I would say, indicates. I think there is a bit of value just in terms of the disparity between the pitchers. I do believe in Robbie Ray, especially some of the numbers he has against this White Sox lineup, which as good as it is, I do think that he is definitely obviously a pitcher here who can have some success. But let's round things out with one more matchup here. We've got the Orioles taking on Milwaukee. Mo, what do you like in this one?
This is probably the closest I am to a bet, I would say. I'll just be kind of looking at this. I'll be monitoring the weather specifically tomorrow.
Love that.
It's kind of like I said about the Jays and Yanks. I think we might have a little bit of a buy low spot here. Not necessarily on John Means, but Corbin Burns was pretty bad in the opener, just not really sharp at all. So he had 3 walks. I think he had might have had 2 walks in the first inning. I was just like, man, it doesn't sound like it's that crazy, but this guy had 34 walks the entire season last year. So just kind of shocking, against a mediocre Cubs offense that has admittedly looked pretty good, actually. Seiya Suzuki's been kind of a monster so far. But yeah, I just feel like maybe a buy low spot here if Burns kind of settles into his groove. And then on the other side, you have John Means, who I kind of feel like the Orioles converted their park in just thinking of him, because there's nobody that's going to benefit more than John Means. They pushed the left field fences back a long ways, like 20 feet. I think they even raised the wall. And for a fly balling lefty who has had some trouble with right-handed bats, I mean, that's just a dream scenario for John Means. So in his newly spacious home park, 2 pretty bad offenses, man. The Brewers have really struggled so far. I'm a little bit interested in under 7.5. I think maybe if this was like the opening game, we might have seen a 7 here. So might be getting a little bit of value here.
Yeah, and Burns has got to be able to handle this lineup. Like you said, the Cubs have kind of outperformed what we expected from them, but the Orioles not nearly, going to jump off the page there in terms of them being one of the 3rd worst offenses in baseball. So backing him in one way or another seems like the smart play. Maybe parlaying just the Brewers' money line with Burns on the mound with other results that you like tonight.
Yeah, definitely some ways to drive up the juice on that one as well, with some pretty clear expectations to what you're saying there, Nate. But that is all the time we have for you guys on a pretty fun Wednesday night slate. Not that many games to choose from, as we said, at night, but I think we've got some pretty decent picks going for the 3 games that we do like to talk about here. So make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Continue to check out each and every one of these videos we'll bring you during the weekdays of this MLB season. And until we see you next, happy betting.